I'm going to wrap my whole presentation, so I hope. Okay, my name is Jason Cohen from Big Data Block. Thank you again for having me up here. I was up earlier with a short presentation on data security. So what are we? What is our mission? What are we trying to do? So my background is, as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, is heavy development and a lot of data work, and specifically a lot of big data, certainly over the last several years. So one of the challenges, if you know the space, and obviously this is the perfect conference for this because many people here do, is that while the idea of, let's say, launching a Hadoop instance on something like AWS sounds like a great thing to do, the challenge typically for companies that don't have large budgets or large technology staffs is how exactly do you do that? Where do you go to get the resources for that? And so the bottom line is these initiatives are expensive, right? If you are going to hire technologists, these tend to be some of the highest paid technologists out there. If you are going to consult, you're going to be paying north of $200 an hour for these people. If you are on AWS, even small Hadoop instances, not really running that much, can cost you in the thousands of dollars a month. And that's, for small and mid-sized businesses especially, a commitment that may be beyond what they can realistically do. But the reality is that we would like everyone to have access to this technology, right? We would like everyone to be able to do interesting things with their data. We would also like everyone to be able to collaborate on the data that they have, or the analytics they create. And so that was really the beginning of Big Data Block and the idea behind it, to create essentially big data as a service. So I think the next slide is our intro video. We'll just let the video speak for some of what we're doing here, and then I'll jump back in. Okay, so I've already mentioned this. Again, the problem we're really trying to solve here is that a lot of companies simply cannot afford the capabilities because of the resources or the cost to build these things. And we'd like to be able to sort of remove that barrier, essentially. The other aspect of our platform that I'll touch on in a few minutes is the collaboration aspect. So the other thing that you see typically in sort of the data science or big data world is that the work done is very siloed. The people tend to work within their insular environment. Maybe they do know other companies that they might be able to work with, but people don't tend to work together nearly as much. And our platform will provide the ecosystem and the capability for them to actually collaborate together, and I'll touch on that in a little bit. So one of the things I wanted to show here is, we have been working on this project for about 9 months in active development. One of the things that we just did very recently, and I thought it'd be interesting to show here, and again, it's very geeky, and I'm not going to show the whole video because it's about 4 minutes, but we are partnered with another blockchain project called Bluezell. Some of you may have heard of them in the data space. They're a great project, more, I would say, on the data side of a typical database, like an Oracle database or things like that, where you just store sort of more transactional data. The interesting thing about us collaborating is that we can pull and push data from the Bluezell platform into our platform, and then take that data, do some analysis on it, like I said, and push that back. So just a few weeks ago, we were in Toronto with them at a meetup, and we showed a little bit of this technology. Again, you're looking at command prompt stuff, looking at very geeky stuff that's not necessarily pretty, but it'll give you a little bit of a sense of kind of what we're working. And I'll talk through it. Like I said, oh, it's already going. So essentially, okay, sorry, it's already playing. So essentially what's happening here is we're bringing up Bluezell's container. We're running their Swarm database. We are launching our own container, where we containerize our product, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Our product, essentially, our Docker container, our application is reaching out to Bluezell. It's exchanging tokens, Bluezell tokens. It's actually accessing that database. It's pulling that data into Big Data Block. Again, this is really more of an example, so there's nothing sexy or exciting from the analytics we're doing. But we're doing a little bit of, just doing a teeny bit of analysis on a very small data set. And then ultimately what we're doing is returning the data back for persistent storage if they want to, let's say, use the results for later within the Bluezell ecosystem. So really, again, you're probably not making a lot from the stuff that's going by the screen, but the bottom line here is that we've got the beginnings of some great working technology, and we're continuing to partner with other projects because we think, obviously, partnering within the blockchain space helps all of us, essentially. So before I get to market opportunity, I do want to talk a little bit about our technology. Essentially what we're doing here is we create a Docker container where we put MapReduce, Hadoop technologies, a number of other technologies in there, things that we're building as well, to create a distribution that people run on their machine just like they would, let's say, run as a mining rig, right? And they can become a node in our network and essentially a data processor within our network. That allows them to help run the jobs that people, our customers on the front end come in to execute, and also get paid for that. So we basically charge a fee for obviously using our service. We are only pay per use. That's the other thing that's unique about us compared to a lot of other big data solutions. Most of them are monthly fees or yearly contracts. You only pay for our system as you use it, as people pay. We return half of that money to the miners, or what we call data processors, the nodes that are running essentially this analytics, and that's how they get compensated. The beauty of this is while we, the machines that are running this might be varied, the fact that we can scale so dramatically in a parallel fashion, we believe will allow us to do a ton of data processing across thousands and thousands of customers running every day and processing millions and millions and millions of records per day for people. The market opportunity here, if you don't know, is enormous. In 2016, big data essentially as a whole was about a $130 billion industry. And that also doesn't take into account, I would argue, the people that would like to be able to use technology like this but currently really can't. Again, just because of probably economic reasons, or they don't have the right technology, for example. So this is an enormous industry. Data is growing every 2 years, it's doubling. And we want, again, to put this technology in the hands of smaller companies so they can compete with, let's say, their larger competitors or nonprofits so they can work together and things like that. So what kind of things do we do? This is a kind of a regular question. So very typical data type analysis and cleansing and machine learning capabilities. We don't claim to be in the AI space, and I think that's fine, because while AI is amazing and there's a lot of awesome things that are coming on the AI front, the reality is there's also block and tackling you need to do. If you're using an AI and the data is very dirty, that's a problem. If you don't know how to compare, let's say, your own analysis of the data and the things that you can do with it to what the AI is doing, you don't, or these machine learning algorithms are doing, you don't really have a sense on how they are truly performing, right? So, base big data analysis, cleansing, sharing, data trust, data provenance, that's essentially all wrapped up in our platform. These are just some mock-ups. The video I showed you was working technology, obviously in a more prototype stage. I don't want to pretend like we're launched yet or anything. We're starting to look at a number of the things we're doing on the front end and starting to work with that with our director of UX. And so these are just, for example, a couple of pictures that represent some of the front-end technologies we will have within the product. So I want to touch a little bit on the knowledge exchange, and it's a great segue into why we have a token. So one of the things we need to do with our token is standard transaction, right? Our transactions are they're not real time because we don't want to pay the data processors until they've finished the job, and that could take an hour, for example. So when we collect payment, we escrow that payment, and then we wait until each node finishes its processing, and then we pay them. Nothing really that exciting there, to be honest. Where our token, I think, gets interesting is around the knowledge exchange. So let me talk a little bit about the knowledge exchange and then kind of how the token plays into it. So as I mentioned in the beginning, if you look in the data science space, it's not necessarily a particularly collaborative space. People tend to hold their information close to their vest, IP, like I can't share any of that. That's probably true with Fortune 1000 or larger enterprise customers, but I don't necessarily think that applies to a lot of the small and mid-sized businesses. And the reason for that is the competition is, more localized. So I might be more than happy to work with a company, let's say in Toronto, if I'm in Chicago, and share information, share algorithms, work together. So we believe that the ecosystem around working together is going to be pretty significant, and our token plays into that in a big way. And what I mean by that is because we tag essentially all of the metadata for anything anyone creates in our platform gets logged in our smart contract. Not the raw data itself, to be clear, no privacy issues, but all the metadata. What's nice about that is that it gives us the ability to look at every single thing that's been created, to go back in time to any point and when any component has been created or changed. So now if I'm sharing this information, there's a real data trust, data provenance situation here, where I can say, I know it's been changed, I know who's changed it, I know when it was changed, I know the dynamics behind that. So the knowledge exchange, we believe, will be a significant component of our platform. I think that's it. Thank you. Questions? Memo?
Time for one or two questions. Yes, you sir in the back.
Yeah, go ahead.
So how do you ensure that each of the miners are behaving honestly, the compute nodes?
Yeah, good question. So one of the beauties of using Docker and containerizing it, it has a couple of things that are really beneficial. One is that even though you're running it on your machine, for example, so let's say you're a node, right? You have a high-end machine and you want to be a node, great. When you install the Docker container, you actually don't have the ability to get inside the guts of the container. So that provides a couple of things of value. One is, we obviously don't want the people that are processing to be able to see the data they're processing. That would be a real privacy issue. But the other thing is, it also doesn't allow them to, let's say, change anything where they might alter, let's say, an algorithm or something like that. So it keeps it pretty, even though you're running it on your machine, it keeps it kind of walled off, if you will.
And for one last question, if there is one. Yes,
Go ahead, sir.
So how do you recruit this the miner to go out internet and say, hey, you download my app or something like that?
Yeah, just street corner, handing out ham. No, I'm just kidding. So mainly it's, there's actually some real benefits right now. So if people know the mining space right now, it's actually not particularly profitable. So a lot of people are looking for other opportunities to use their machines to profit from, to make money. So we already have actually a number of relationships with some mid-sized mining farms. So they are very excited to get going on this, to be able to use their machines to make money. The other side of it is, we're probably going to offer some initial incentives. Let's say a slightly higher, a cut of the money to some of the initial miners that we sign up to sort of provide a little bit of an incentive for some of the initial miners. But like I said, the good news is we've actually found that we have a queue of people waiting that literally ping us like every few weeks, like how close are you guys? Because they really want to be able to leverage this to make additional money.
Okay, awesome. Put your hands together.